Okay, let's do this for the pure motivation of leading all limitless Mother and Father sentient beings to the ultimate. So, as you know, in Buddhism, there are three main levels: Theravada, Mahayana, and Vajrayana. And I think I've been mostly talking about Theravada level Buddhism so far. So I just want to wrap that up today. And because we're trying to do the basics, I just need to mention some of the aspects of Theravada Buddhism in case somebody hasn't heard about them before. So Theravada Buddhism is, Thera is an elder, and Vada is path or way, path or way of the elders. And it was the majority practice in early Buddhism. Mahayana and Vajrayana were very, very small numbers up until maybe 1,000 years ago. Theravada has a basic aim of enlightenment to benefit yourself. The Bodhisattva vow and the Bodhisattva ideal are not part of Theravada Buddhism much, other than the fact that they know the Buddha was a Bodhisattva and ultimately manifested as a fully enlightened world Buddha. But the goal in Theravada is to attain enlightenment to end your own suffering. And I had a very interesting session one time with Rinpoche. There was somebody with me who was completely pro Theravada and didn't like other forms of Buddhism. And he asked Rinpoche about what happens to a Theravada level Buddhist who attains full enlightenment and then dies. And the answer was quite astounding. Rinpoche said they enter cessation, and it's wonderful. They have no suffering, but they're in a state of cessation, meaning that nothing can arise. So they can't generate the idea, maybe I would like to go and be reborn and benefit others. They can't generate that idea because there's no possibility of anything arising in them. They're in a state of total cessation. And they remain in that state. And of course, they're in bliss, and it's a very, very wonderful state. And Setu Rinpoche emphasized how wonderful it was. But they remain in that state until and unless a Buddha brings them out of it. And if a Buddha brings them out of it, then they attain Buddhahood relatively quickly and then go on to benefit beings. But, to me, the idea of just aiming for enlightenment in order to benefit yourself and nobody else, that's not my goal in life. My goal in life is to put others first. But anyhow, that's what Theravada Buddha does. And there's some aspects of Theravada Buddhism you should know. Their meditations are divided into two kinds, samatha and vipassana. Samatha in Pali is shamatha in Sanskrit. So in Vajrayana Buddhism, we call it shamatha and vipassana. But in Theravada Buddhism, in Pali, it's samatha and vipassana. Samatha is basically building up concentration. Vipassana is generating insight. And so all of their meditations do one or the other. Now, some main methods used in Theravada Buddhism are include Anapanasati, which I think many of you are familiar with. It's a form of mindfulness of breathing, and Lama Jerry teaches it, Lama Lodro teaches it, and many people practice it. And it's a wonderful, wonderful practice in that you can actually, um, once you learn exactly what it is you need to do, you can probably get by without a teacher. And it will lead you all the way to full enlightenment. So it's one of the main teachings. Another one of the main teachings of mindfulness is satipatthana, which is slightly different. In anapanasati, you have mindfulness of breathing, but you don't very much try to create specific things. There are times in anapanasati when you do, but in satipatthana, what you do is you create a strong base of mindfulness and calm, and then use that as a platform with which to contemplate dharmas like the Four Noble Truths, the Five Hindrances, the Seven Factors of Enlightenment, and so on. And uh, so Satipatthana has you direct your attention to certain things. Other things you contemplate are the elements, and I can't remember them all right now. And it's a if you learn to do it properly, it's a wonderful practice. And one thing that struck me when I received the Satipatthana teaching from Namgyal Rinpoche, the very last thing he said was, "If you do this practice, you will awaken in this lifetime." So that has stuck with me. But there's the Vipassana practice, which was not taught in the time of the Buddha. It's a form of mindfulness of breathing, and I don't know exactly when it came along, but the modern way of doing Vipassana was, I think, developed in Burma. It's very prevalent in Burma. Mahasi Sayadaw was one of the ones who taught it a lot. And there are various forms of Vipassana, but it's basically mindfulness of breathing. And you focus on the breathing, on the rising and falling of the abdomen as you breathe. And then when something arises, like a thought or a pain or something, you turn your attention to that, label it, and go back to the breathing. And it's a great way for moving you through the 16 stages of insight. It's always been my opinion. Well, for 40 years or 50 years, it's been my opinion that it would be good for all Buddhist practitioners every 3 or 4 years to do a 6-week session of Vipassana, because if you have reached the point where your being has matured and is ready to take the next level of enlightenment, this will get you there so that can happen. Whereas just carrying on with whatever else you're doing will probably get you there eventually, but not necessarily quickly. Uh, Now, there's a very important book in Theravada Buddhism called the Visuddhimagga. Have any of you had teaching on the Visuddhimagga? Yeah. So I don't remember the year. I'm guessing around maybe 500 AD or something like that. There was a monk in India who had a teacher, and this monk was very adept at language, and the Pali language, which was used in Theravada Buddhism, was sort of dying out and being replaced by Sanskrit. But in Sri Lanka, they still use the Pali language for their Buddhism. So the teacher of this monk, I think his name was Buddhaghosa, if I'm not mistaken, sent him to Sri Lanka to recover the Buddha's teachings in the Pali language. And so Buddhaghosa went to Sri Lanka and got all the teachings and did whatever his teacher had told him to do. And then when he was done with that, he was in a state where he was a great master of the Pali language, and he had great familiarity with all of the teachings that and practices that had been done in the 1,000 years since the Buddha was alive. And so he wrote this book, the Visuddhimagga, to sort of put in one place a comprehensive collection of all the Theravada teachings of the Buddha for the first 1,000 years of Buddhism. The book is divided into three sections. Um, uh, oh my goodness. Three cheers for senility. What is that called? Sila, Samadhi, Punya. Sila means getting your house in order and cooling your mind. It's usually translated as morality, but it's proper behavior and other things to get your mind ready for samadhi, which is focus and concentration. And then punya is wisdom or insight or awakening. So in the Visuddhimagga, there are 40 main practices that were taught by the Buddha and practiced extensively up to that time, and some of them are still practiced. They include things like recollection of death, um, uh, meditation on the elements, earth, water, fire, air, space, meditation on some colors, white, blue, yellow, and one other one, and meditation on breathing, and the Visuddhimagga has very detailed teaching on attaining and mastering the jhanas, the absorptions, and there are 8 meditative absorptions or jhanas. The first jhana is characterized by one-pointed mind, body bliss, mind bliss, applied thought and sustained thought, and suppression of all the temporary suppression of all the defilements. Then the second jhana, you get rid of body bliss. The third jhana, you get rid of mind bliss. No, the second jhana, you get rid of thought. And the third jhana, you get rid of body bliss. And the fourth one, mind bliss. And you wind up in the fourth jhana, which is one-pointed mind and equanimity. And then you discover that you had equanimity all the way through the first 3, but they were never mentioned as part of it. But in those jhanas, they all occur in what's called the material world. In other words, you have a body, and in the state of the jhana, the body takes care of itself. It's possible to sit for example, to sit for 7 days without having to eat or go to the bathroom or anything like that. The body just takes care of itself. Um, and then you have the four arupa jhanas, which are in the formless realm. The first one is infinite space. The second one is infinite mind. The third one is infinite void or infinite emptiness. And the fourth one is a very subtle state called the level of neither perception nor non-perception. So in early Theravada Buddhism, the jhanas um, taught extensively and practiced extensively. And the jhanas had the advantage that then in the jhana, you would focus your mind very clearly, and then afterward you could do insight work and gain insight and realization relatively quickly, and that was what was taught. The jhanas are not very much emphasized in Theravada Buddhism anymore. In the current Vipassana teaching, most lineages of Vipassana say that jhanas are not necessary, and they teach instead access concentration, which is the step between normal consciousness and jhana. There's a level where you sort of half attain the jhana. It's called access concentration, and they just teach that. But the Visuddhimagga details all of those things. And of course, the Visuddhimagga also details the psychic powers that arise with jhana. Jhana is the basis of psychic powers. So if you master the earth, master the jhanas while doing the earth meditation, you acquire the ability through the power of your mind to make anything solid, like earth, so that if you want to walk on water, you use the power of your mind to make the water solid, and you can walk on it, no problem. If you master the jhanas using fire as the object of meditation, you acquire the psychic ability to determine what burns and what doesn't burn. So you could have something on fire, and you could something you don't want to burn. Part of that you could just use this power to cause the part you want to save not to burn. When I used to teach these, uh, I used to sometimes teach the jhanas based on concentration on the color yellow, and I made the mistake of mentioning one time what the psychic power you attain if you master the jhanas meditating on the color yellow. And once I mentioned that, nobody was interested in any other meditation. They just wanted to do yellow, because the psychic power that you attain is the ability to turn things into gold. So I could take my coffee cup and turn it into pure gold and then sell it for a lot of money. Once people learned that, they only wanted to do that. Once you master the jhanas in anything, you can train yourself to attain some of the other psychic powers. For example, remembering your past lives, or a meditation called the arising and passing away of beings, which you meditate on all beings as they arise and pass away in their various lives. And And there are quite a few other psychic powers, but there should be a warning on the Visuddhimagga that acquiring psychic powers to have power is not really a worthy goal in Dharma. If you're going to develop the jhanas and some power to help you awaken in this lifetime, that's fine. That's their purpose. But otherwise, they're quite. They have some intrinsic danger, and it should be understood clearly that the jhanas are part of samsara, not they are not beyond in any sense. And the illustration of this is most vividly seen by considering the Buddha's cousin, uh, uh, Devadatta. The Buddha had a cousin who was quite a bit younger than him, who became a monk, and his name was Devadatta, and he mastered the jhanas and acquired all the psychic powers, but he did not attain any realization at all. And so he still had all his negativities and his desires and aversions and so on. And so he conceived the idea that he should become the head of all the monks and replace the Buddha. So he went to the Buddha and basically said, "Well, I think it would be good for you to retire and turn the Sangha over to me, and I'll be the head of the Sangha." And the Buddha said, "No, no, Devadatta, I wouldn't turn it over even to Sariputra or Moggallana. And I certainly wouldn't turn it over to you. You have no realization. All you have is the psychic powers, but you have no enlightenment whatsoever. So I certainly will not turn it over to you." So it turned out, so Devadatta went away. It turned out that the king of that area, King Bimbisara of the kingdom they were in, King Bimbisara was very wealthy and was one of the main supporters of the Buddha and of the Sangha. And the king had a nephew who was much younger than him. And Devadatta teamed up with the nephew of the King Bimbisara, and they conceived a plan that they would kill the Buddha and kill Bimbisara, and then the nephew would take over the kingdom and all the wealth, and Devadatta would take over the Sangha. So they tried to do this and it didn't work, but they did actually wound the Buddha. And that's one of the four uh, sort of unforgivable sins. And when Devadatta died, the Buddha, I believe, mentioned that he went to one of the hell realms because of that. So, so if you're going to attain the jhanas, it should be for Dharma purposes and only Dharma purposes. And if you do that, they're a very powerful tool. Um, when I was a monk in Thailand in the 60s, my body did not ever adjust to sitting cross-legged on a hard floor for many hours every day. And so meditation was always very painful and very difficult. One person I knew was doing the same meditation as me, but he kept accidentally entering the jhanas. And in the jhana, you don't have any pain at all. If you say you have pain in your knee and you're not in the jhana and you go into the jhana, you don't feel that pain at all. You don't feel any pain at all. You don't feel any itch or anything like that. You just feel really, really good, both in your body and your mind. So, so the jhanas are a very pleasant state. The other problem with the jhanas is that they're accompanied by bliss. And it might sound strange, but for a lot of people, bliss is very, very addictive. And I have known people who have attained bliss uh, through things like the jhanas, and then become very addicted to that bliss. And once they're addicted to the bliss, they're not interested in any more Dharma progress. They just want to, every time they sit down, they want to recreate the bliss. So I was very fortunate that if I entered a jhana, the amount of bliss I got was not very much, and I never had any inclination to be addicted to it. So if that's good news, I guess that was good news in a way, you know. I didn't have that problem, but I know a lot of people have that problem because it's really the first actual respite from samsara, where your body is in bliss, your mind is in bliss, you're absolutely totally comfortable, your body takes care of itself, and it's a wonderful, wonderful state. I was in a retreat once, and the person in the next room uh, was going into jhana, so we would get up. You know, it was a retreat, and everybody doing it got up early and started meditating, and he would go into jhana. Or this is what he told me afterwards, and so when he went into jhana, he would plan to stay in it for like 4 hours. But when the 4 hours came up, he didn't want to leave, so he would stay longer and longer, and it was a problem for him to get out of it early enough to go to bed because it was just so pleasant to stay in it. He didn't want to ever leave it. So, okay, so any questions up to now? And then we have a few more topics to go over.
I have a quick question. Can you say a little bit more about access concentration and like what is the experience of it like, or yeah, just anything you can say would be helpful on that.
Access concentration for the first jhana contains all of the elements of the first jhana. The defilements are a little bit suppressed. You have close to one pointed concentration. You have a little bit of body bliss, a little bit of mind bliss, a little bit of ability for applied thought or sustained thought, but much weaker than they will be in the jhanas. So it's a halfway house. You know, you are no longer in your normal everyday consciousness, but you haven't quite reached the jhana either. But you're halfway. You know, and so it's a very pleasant state, and it's a very relaxed state, and your body, whatever your body was doing before, it starts to feel real good. And whatever your mind was doing before, it starts to feel real good. And if your mind was active before, it's like 98% calmed down, but not 100%, you know. So so it's basically halfway. Like you have all of the elements of the jhana, but in weaker form, but still very nice, you know. Yeah. Any other questions about everything so far? Yeah, I hope nobody asked me where's the best place to sell the gold that you create. I don't know. Okay, so a few basic things that the Buddha taught that you should know about. One is he talked about time being beginningless and endless, and there are periods of expansion and periods of contraction. And the longest time unit in reality is an eon, which is a very, very, very long time. One definition of it is that the shortest eon possible is 1 with 27 zeros, Earth years. Another definition of an eon is that you have a diamond that's about a mile by a mile by a mile. And every 100 years, a little bird comes along and sharpens its beak on the diamond. And when the diamond is completely worn away, that's the end of the eon. We're in an eon called the Fortunate Eon right now, in which there will be a little over 1,000 world Buddhas like Shakyamuni Buddha. Shakyamuni Buddha was number 4, so the eon is just getting going. Um, uh, and he talked about the 6 levels of existence. Uh, Earth is the human level is sort of near the upper middle. There are 2 levels above that: the Dewa level and the Azura level, or hungry or Titan level. Then there's the human level, then the animal level, then the hungry ghost realm, and then the hell realms. Uh, there are different variations among the various levels, like the highest Dewa realms. There are many variations of that, but in general, in the highest realm, the Dewa realm, you have an extremely long life. You don't have a material body. You have no suffering, and your only effort in life is to preserve that. You don't want to lose it. In the Titan realm, the Titans can see the Dewa realm, and the Dewas have it a little better than the Titan realm, so the Titans generally have a bit of jealousy. There are things said like in the Titan realm, there's a tree growing, but it grows up into the Dewa realm, and all the fruit is in the Dewa realm. So the Titans have the tree, but they don't get any benefit from it, and so they have some jealousy. The human realm is your best shot for awakening because it has enough suffering to give you the motivation to do it, and yet it has and yet the suffering is not overwhelming that prevent you from being able to do it. The animal realm is dominated by ignorance or stupidity, um, and there's a lot of suffering. Animals are always eating each other, and if they have pain and so on, they don't have any treatment for that. The hungry ghost realm is worse than the animal realm. These are beings who have very strong desire, and one description of the hungry ghost realm is that there's a bunch of hungry ghosts here, and they hear a rumor that there's some food on the other side of the hill, so they all rush over there, and there's no food. They're pictured as having big mouths but very thin throats, so that even if they find food, they can't eat very much, they can't swallow very much. And then the hell realms, the cold and the hot hell realms are horrible. There are some, the Buddha taught that, the hell realm, for example, lasts really a long time, just like the Dewa realm. And the Buddha talked about what happens when people finish their time in one of those realms. If somebody is in the Dewa realm for billions of years and then they exhaust whatever cause and condition is causing them to be there, then they fall back and they're usually born in the human realm, but they have used up all of their good karma and none of their bad karma. So when they enter the human realm, nothing goes right and everything goes wrong. And they generally, as a result of that, start to react with negativity. And it's not uncommon from someone who fell from the Dewa realm to, after one life in the human realm, fall into the hell realm because of all the negativity that they have engaged in. And similarly, the hell realm, when their time is up and they're reborn, they might be reborn in the human realm, but they don't have much going for them. They've been in a state of severe negativity for a long time, and they don't have much merit stored up, if any at all, and things are very rough. Um, uh, I guess I can tell this. I have some possible memories of returning to the human realm after being in the animal realm, and the my experience of that was that I had absolutely nothing going for me. So I was always born in very poor families who usually couldn't feed me, and I would almost always wind up homeless. And as a homeless person, I would sometimes steal and often lie and things like that. And and I had no knowledge of or any way of developing more merit so that things would be better. I didn't have any idea of the cause and conditions of why things were so bad for me, but they were good for lots of other people. And it took over 1,000 years to sort of move up a little bit and stop being homeless and things like that. Um, so anyhow, the Buddha talked about the 6 levels of existence. Um, uh, Trungpa, in his preface to the Tibetan Book of the Dead, gives a very lucid explanation of the mind states in those states. Um, and that's definitely reading. Now, one other thing the Buddha talked about was reincarnation. He, of course, remembered countless past lives, and he described some of them in various teachings. Uh, I don't know if any of you know, but at the time Jesus was alive, reincarnation was the common belief in the culture that he was born in. Everybody believed in reincarnation. And when a child was born, they were usually named after somebody who had died recently in case they were the same person. And it wasn't until, and so Jesus lived and taught in a culture that believed in reincarnation, and he didn't speak against it at any point. And it wasn't until 323 AD at the Second Council of Nicaea that reincarnation was removed from Christianity. The Emperor Constantine, who convened this assembly, directed all the Christians that came to define Christianity so that everybody would know what it is, but also to make belief in reincarnation heresy, and to remove all the references to reincarnation from the Bible. So the idea of reincarnation is prevalent in Hinduism and Buddhism and all kinds of other religions, and it was part of Judaism and Christianity at one point. But reincarnation is a very difficult topic because the Buddha also declared the three marks of existence. One is non-self. One, we've covered these before. One is impermanence. One is suffering. But the third one, non-self, everybody who tries to understand reincarnation forgets all about non-self, and they try to understand reincarnation while mired in a deluded view that there are separate individualities, and each being is a separate being, and so then they try to understand reincarnation from that point of view, and so they acquire a deluded understanding of reincarnation because they have consciously or unconsciously included the delusion that there is a permanent self. So what happens in reincarnation is that your body dies and something carries on. And this something includes your habits and preferences. Sometimes it includes your skills. So if you were a very accomplished musician and you died, whatever was reborn might also have some musical skills. But it isn't a reincarnation of you, it's just a reincarnation of the energy of your continuum. And it carries with it all of your karma. So if you experience in this lifetime negative karma that had its origin in a previous life, you weren't really the one who did that, but you're the one who gets to experience the negative karma, which results from it. It's just a continuous, yeah. You have a question, Sarju? No? No. Why not? Yeah, so reincarnation is a part of Buddhism, and it makes a lot of things much more understandable. If everybody only had one life to live, then it would be very hard to understand why some child would die at an extremely young age and never get a chance to live and experience things. But yeah, so the Buddha taught that. I don't think I have too much more to say about Theravada Buddhism. It has all these wonderful practices, and I've done an awful lot of them. And I highly recommend some of them, like Vipassana and Satipatthana. I'm not an expert in Anapanasati, but it sounds very good to me. Any questions or comments?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
I have a question, just what you were last talking a little bit about the what's passed on from the in the reincarnation idea. Is that I often wonder how families end up to be families, like such a variety of people in a family, or you have like, if you have a musical background, let's say, your whole family becomes musical, or you're part of a musical community that believes in singing a lot or something. I mean, it's just sort of fascinating to see how families and cultures can, or I guess more families, so you brothers like this, but you're totally a musical and they're totally musical. But there's other, what gets passed on, and how do you end up in the same cluster or something? Is there anything you could say about that sort of extrapolation?
Well, at one point in my life, I had a period of time where it was very easy for me to uh, focus on something and remember it in a previous life. And what I discovered was that I almost never hung out with anybody new. That everybody I hung out with, I had known before in previous lives. So at one point when I was living in a large commune, we would be assigned to do work as a group, and then another day it would be a different group. And so if I was assigned to work with a group of 20 people, I wouldn't be naturally inclined to be friends with 19 of those 20 people. But one of them might be somebody that I felt some connection with or felt some interest in. And so I might hang out with them, and I would discover every single time that if I was interested in somebody as a friend or whatever, that I had known them before. And I could go back, I could go to my room at night and meditate and remember what our connection was. And so, to answer your question, who are the friends of musicians in this life? Well, a lot of them are other musicians. And so it's not surprising that in another life, they they have connections with lots of other people who have been musicians also. Uh, Probably the same ones that they hung out with before, or maybe two lives or three lives ago. We so we keep winding up with people that we've known before, and but there's also there's much more to it as to who our parents are,
Yeah,
because there's often some issues that we have, and that's what attracts us to the particular parents that we're attracted to. And it turns out they have those issues also. And maybe they have worked through them, or maybe they have been unable to work through them. But by being their child, we become aware of that issue, and then we have the opportunity to work through that issue. So you very often see that somebody has an abusive parent, and then when the child of that abusive parent grows up, they're very strongly committed to not being abusive, you know. So they work through that issue and gain some insight into it. But it's way more complicated than that. But
I can imagine.
uh,
It's fascinating though, isn't it? It's just
it is, yeah. And if you adopt the view, uh, nobody knew for me, uh, you won't go wrong with that. You're not likely going to um, meet somebody new, you know. And you know, I went to the bank yesterday, and there's a teller there that we've just felt some connection right from the beginning. And so I went there to give a change of address and deposit something. And so she gave me a present. You know, bank tellers don't give people presents, you know, but she did. And you know, and I'm sure if I'm in some other life and I need a bank teller, well, she'll be there, you know. Or maybe she was a bank teller in the previous one. I don't know, but it's you know, it's the same ones over and over and over and over.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
I have a question about just the general process of how do you discern if you're having impressions or memories from past lives, might be coming in meditation or just moments of your life, discerning between genuine impressions and then just, you know, self-made fantasies or delusions. Can you speak a bit about what the discernment process looks like in that?
There's a difference? Oh my goodness. Well, I adopt the attitude that all of my so-called past life memories are subjective and do not necessarily have any objective component to it at all. So the memories are there and the memories are real. Whether that memory corresponds to anything that actually happened, I don't ever make that assumption. So whether it's some fancy creation of my mind and has no bearing in reality, or whether it's based in what really happened, doesn't really matter. So in this life, when I was born and I grew up, I had incredible amounts of really negative formations. And starting when I was starting in the early 1980s, I started spontaneously having what appeared to be past life memories that would help me resolve these formations that I was having today. And so when the formation resolved, it didn't really matter whether the past life memory was real or fantasy, because it did the job that was needed, you know. So, you know, if you had some horrible formation and you went to somebody who does past life regression and they applied that to you, and then somehow you solved your problem, it doesn't matter whether it was real or fake, you know. And it's important as you progress in Dharma to detach yourself from the idea that you are who you are, that whatever you have accomplished, you have accomplished. Whatever things went wrong for you in the past, they went wrong for you. You have to detach yourself from your story. And your story includes your past lives. So if you get a group of people together, like say siblings and cousins, people who've known each other forever and now they're a bit older, and then you get them to describe things, events that they shared in common when they were young, they will all remember it differently, and sometimes not the same thing at all. And I remember one of my close friends from India had to write a little blurb about his Dharma life, and I was there for quite a bit of that Dharma life, and I read the blurb, and it's like, oh my goodness, this is a good movie script, but it's not what happened. But then who says my memory is right? So apparent reality is an illusion, and our understanding of things in apparent reality, such as who we are and our past and who everybody else is and what's really going on, we have to gradually wean ourselves off the addiction of believing all that stuff. One day when you fully awaken and there's no one there, you will see that everything about you was fancy. It was unreal. It was a story. And people are very attached. One of the strongest attachments in humans is to their story. Who am I? Who was I? What did I do? Who did I know? Where did I go? What did I experience? I mean, if you look at things in the world, like right now, people want to go see the Eiffel Tower, and they want to see the Taj Mahal, and they want to go to the North Pole, and they want to go rafting down some river somewhere and do all these things because that embellishes the story of them. And so our job is to gradually step away from that, and one day you reach a point where someone will say, "Who are you?" And you'll say, "Oh, no one of importance." Well, what happened to you? Where did you go? Doesn't matter.
Thank you.
Yeah. But I know who you are. But that's my problem. Any last comments or questions? Based in reality or fiction, it doesn't matter. Okay, well, good. Well, thank you all for coming. Next time, I'm going to move on to a Mahayana or Vajrayana topic. I'm going to talk about emptiness, and I'm going to go over the Heart Sutra, which talks a lot about emptiness. So that's my plan at the moment.